Good morning on this hump day. I'm Pete Najarian, and this is The Take for Market Rebellion. What an incredible day yesterday. I mean, let's just jump right to it. The idea of a vaccine coming from Russia and the potential there, was it believable? Was it not believable? Yeah, either way, markets were up, and they were up big very, very early. As a matter of fact, up about 350 points. Following along with the pre-markets, a big spike to the upside, and then throughout the day trading anywhere between 260 points, 350 points, some call it that, for the rest of the afternoon until late. But before we get to that, NASDAQ, again, that dislocation, NASDAQ absolutely trading in such a different way relative to the Dow. With all the excitement that was going on with the Dow itself that was flying to the upside and talks of the S&P hitting new numbers and all the rest, well, that when you look over at the NASDAQ, you could see a bit of a lag there. No doubt about it. The dislocation's still there, but it did battle back, got itself to flat towards that green area. The financials certainly was the leadership area. That was an area that we've been talking about. Can there be some follow through? Can the XLF actually penetrate through 25, maybe even close above 25? Well, JP Morgan, American Express, Goldman Sachs, Bank of America, all powerful, and many of the banks are participating as well. But it wasn't just the financials. You also had the industrials with some great leadership as well. You had Boeing and Raytheon and 3M and Caterpillar, everything. Oh, and let's not forget about on the financials, Capital One. This has been a name that's absolutely been on fire and an explosive move to the upside. Speaking of explosive, let's talk about energy. Energy as well. As a matter of fact, with crude getting back and up and over 42, nice day for the crude names, Chevron, Exxon, obviously the OIH as well, up about 3.5% yesterday, at least early on. But the precious metals, now that's been an area where people have definitely been flowing. They've been going there for months and months and months, and we've watched this huge move in gold, this massive, fast move, this explosive move that we've seen out of silver. Well, a lot of that they gave back, not a lot of that. They gave back a nice chunk of that yesterday. Silver was down about 7% or thereabouts. Matter of fact, gold down as well significantly. So pullbacks, you expect some of those pullbacks, especially given the news and given some of the rotation that we were seeing yesterday, especially when people were getting back towards financials, industrials, and a little bit less participation out of tech. Volatility still holding around that 21, 22, but volatility exploded to the upside up towards 24 because late in the session, the market just started to fall apart. We went from up 350 points to down 100 points in the Dow just in the last 90 minutes or so of the trading day. So much movement once again. This is something that we've seen time and time again, but we hadn't seen this for a while. As a matter of fact, that theme of the final hour, final 2 hours certainly coming into play this time. And we talked about this yesterday. This time, that final hour or so, instead of that big upward move, we has the big whoosh to the downside. And that certainly was something that was interesting. What was really the connection? Did it have anything to do with politics? Did it have anything to do with Joe Biden and his selection for vice president? A lot of different interpretations. The reality is, in any case, that was the reaction. So we saw that big push to the downside. I'll tell you, the amazing thing was just watching yesterday, some of the financials when it was the regionals. And we also had cruise lines that were working. We had casinos that were working. So now, take a look at what's going on today. Indications for a spike again, up about 300 points. Yeah, and we actually answered the bell. We were up there over 27,900, giving back a little bit now. Now we're up about 200. Matter of fact, a little bit of a switch, a little bit of a push and pull because the NASDAQ was green. They were both up into the green early. NASDAQ up about 60. Well, NASDAQ now, absolutely explosive move to the upside. I'd written down up about 120. Now we're up about 160, so about 1.5% NASDAQ. So all those folks that continue to want to talk about, well, this is it for tech, everything's going to rotate. I really don't know if that's necessarily the case. I think you have to analyze why certain areas of the market, what those pockets are that are working, and why will they continue to work or not continue to work in some cases. Obviously, we've got the COVID stocks as well, and we talk about that all the time, and those kinds of stocks that are moving to the upside on certain days and the downside, opposite of the markets, all dependent upon what really is the news of the day. So, volatility today, well, we're trading right around 2250, so off of that 24 number, but down a little bit anyways, down about, call it 7%, but still plenty of volatility. We talked about 21, 22 starting the day yesterday. That's where we spent most of the day until we had that big push to the downside. But today, with this move to the upside, Really powerful move out of the financials again. And it's great to see the financials not just having a one and done type thing, but seeing a little bit of a back-to-back movement. Now, can they hold on to those moves? Goldman Sachs up about 2.25%, JP Morgan up about 2%, Bank of America up a couple of percent, Citi up a couple of percent. You get the idea. Energy, again, moving to the upside, Chevron, Exxon. And then you take a look over at some of those beta names, Halliburton and Occidental, and throw in a Conoco. Those names all very positive right now, and those beta names definitely having a nice pace to them. Healthcare, strong. I'm looking over at Merck and I look over at United Health. Those names moving very nicely to the upside. Healthcare in general looking pretty good today. So the NASDAQ on this big, powerful move. Well, what's really powering that move? Well, I'll throw out a couple of names to you. Facebook, Apple, Amazon, Google, pretty strong. Those are good names to come up with. Throw in Tesla after this announcement of this 5-to-1 split. Toss in Tesla as well, a big, powerful move, about 5% to the upside out of Tesla. You also have some good participation, at least early on, from the semiconductors. That's up about 1% today. AMD and many of the other names moving to the upside. And you're getting a bounce out of some of those, the stay-at-home type names that yesterday had some pressure early as far as they were sort of the pull side of things, while the NASDAQ was starting to try to move back to the upside. But Zoom having a pretty nice day today on a nice bounce back. Netflix as well. So a nice combination of all kinds of movement and the complexities of the market all really showing up today in what we are seeing and how that movement's really happening. We're 35 minutes into the trading session. We've already had incredible moves when you consider the Dow was up 300 plus points, got back down under 200 points. Now we're back up above over 200 points. NASDAQ started off a little bit slower, then started to really accelerate to the upside on a nice push. And volatility, as I mentioned, pulling back. By the way, I didn't mention about yesterday's volume. How about those volumes yesterday? 34 million contracts, or very close to 34 million contracts yesterday. So we talk about volumes all the time, how important that is, and it's a great indicator of the participation, especially summertime and during this pandemic. Obviously, much different circumstances, but the volumes for August just continue to be very, very impressive and building upon not just one day over 30 million contracts, but we've had multiple sessions now trading well over 30 million contracts. Yesterday, close to 34 million contracts. Just a monstrous day. So where are we seeing some great activity right now, today, early? We've got plenty of different choices already out of the gates, 35 minutes into the trading day. But I ended up going with Roku. And the reason I did was this is a name that is his time and time again. It's a popular name. A lot of people like to talk about this name. It does hit with some volumes fairly consistently, and this is a very, very volatile. So I just wanted to point out how different this is from some of the other names oftentimes that we talk about, and quite honestly, the premiums are a little bit higher. $152 stock, you're going to have higher premiums, especially when you've got higher implied volatilities attached to that as well. That just brings those premiums up very, very rapidly. So what are we seeing in Roku? A buyer of 8,000. Now pay attention. 8,000, not only 8,000, but these are the August 14th expiring. That's Friday. Today's Wednesday, hump day. Friday, these expire. So they're either going to work or they're not, but it's very close to where they are. So the stock was trading 152.75. We had buyers of the 155 strike calls that expire Friday, August 14th. Those are going for about $1.80 up to a little over $3. So call it on average a little bit, something $2.50 or something like that for these options. That's what we were seeing, 8,000 of those trades. So a lot of premium, 2 days, got to work or they're done. That's it. So very, very interesting to see this early on. We'll see if that's a name that can make a big, powerful move, but certainly seeing some of this activity in multiple different names. We're seeing some put buying and selling. Seeing some call buying, not as much as we had been seeing in the first 30 or 40 minutes. Maybe that's because of where the market started off the day, up 300 plus points. We'll see and keep an eye on that closely. Obviously on Twitter, oftentimes I'm giving you volumes. Be very careful. I'm giving volumes just for the idea of how much volume we are seeing. The most important part of volumes, quite frankly, guys, is let's all understand this better. Are they buying? Are they selling? That's what we look at here at Market Rebellion. That's what our algorithms do here at Market Rebellion. We know buyers, we know sellers. We can see that with the algorithms of what exactly is transpiring. But it is an interesting metric just to see the huge volumes and see where those volumes are. Oftentimes I'm pointing out if it's calls or if it's puts and how much of that percentage of trade is on one side or the other. So there's some great information there in my opinion. That's why I put it up. But you have to understand it's much more important to know where the buyers are or if they're sellers, just understanding that as you're trying to dissect. That's why knowledge is king. That's why the derivatives markets are absolutely on fire. It's why we love what we do each and every day. And I'm excited to come into the office every day, whether the office is in New York or Chicago or Minneapolis or in my own home. It's exciting each and every day. 34 million contracts yesterday. I mean, let's just think about that for a second. I talked about not too long ago, 35 million, 33 million. This one's very close to 34 million. We have some very, very active markets right now, and you've got to understand, and that understanding comes from knowledge. You've got to have the knowledge. Knowledge gives you that opportunity, not guaranteed, but the opportunity going forward for some success. Guys, I'm Pete Najarian. Have a great day of trading.